Hello and welcome to my channel. If we haven't met before, my name is Shauna. I am married to my husband Peter. We have 3 kids, a 7th grader, a high school junior, and I don't know how this happened, but we also have a high school senior as well, which is just absolutely crazy. I definitely am a messy person. Putting things away is really hard for me. If it is hard to put things away or it takes a lot of effort and it's just easier to leave things places, I'm more likely to do that. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily a lazy person, but I definitely like taking the easy way out most times when it comes to tidying and maintaining my home. And as far as decluttering, I like holding on to things because things bring me happiness. And I like to be prepared in any situation. So when it comes to decluttering, I have pretty much struggled with this almost my entire life. So you might be thinking to yourself, why is she starting a YouTube channel if decluttering is hard for her and she's a messy person and yet she wants to help others declutter their home? That's a really good question, and I wrestled with this for a year. As someone who has struggled with this for so long and has just recently in the past few years really started to get a hold on decluttering and keeping and maintaining a peaceful home, I really wanted to share what I have learned in case anybody else is having the same struggles. Maybe you feel like you don't have the time to declutter, the energy, the motivation, or even want to part with things, but yet on the other hand, you still want a peaceful home that is really easy to maintain. I have no credentials. I am just a random person who, can be kind of lazy, I'll admit it. But I just want to share those tips and tricks in case it can change somebody else's life as well. So I thought a really good place to start would actually be just me sharing my decluttering journey with you. So here it is. When I was a kid, I had a lot of stuff. Most kids do. I don't know of many kids who are not pack rats when they're little. And my room was so messy. It was so hard to keep clean because I had so much stuff. But I didn't get rid of anything because I don't know if I even knew that we could get rid of things. Unless I outgrew my clothes or my mom wanted to have a garage sale that year, I didn't get rid of anything. Part of me loved having all that stuff. I loved being prepared. Like I mentioned earlier, I loved being prepared in every situation. And my friends knew me as the girl who, when they invited me to a sleepover, I would bring all the things in case somebody forgot a blanket or a stuffed animal, or, we wanted to paint our nails or do a craft project. I would have that stuff available in my bag. And 9 times out of 10, we used all those things, which just kept reaffirming, Shauna, hold on to all that stuff. I remember one time when I was a kid that my parents asked me to clean my room and it was a mess. And I walked into my door and I turned and looked at my massive desk and it was just piled high with papers and art supplies and toys. There were probably clothes and stuffed animals on there too. I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot. And I just froze because I didn't know where to start. A lot of these things didn't have homes in my room. There was no place to put them. And the things that did have homes, it was so hard to put things away because I had so much stuff. It was so much easier to just be messy than it was to take care of things. Fast forward a few years and it was time to go to college. This story is really embarrassing. Again, Miss Overprepared. It took us 3 cars to move me into my freshman dorm. It was me with my car and then my parents each drove their own separate car to move me in to my dorm room. It was so packed, but I had everything. Everybody on my floor knew if they needed something to come see me. They want a vacuum cleaner and they didn't want to walk downstairs to grab one. Shauna's got it. Tools, paper clips, Band-Aids, go see Shauna. And it was wonderful being able to take care of everybody. But at the same time, it was really overwhelming because there was so much stuff. And you know how tiny dorm rooms are. My side was so hard to keep clean and it just was visually cluttered and it was hard to do anything. I did learn the following year, I don't need quite as much stuff. I still brought too much. It was definitely still really packed. But I did learn that it's okay to borrow things from people or, think outside the box a little bit and be creative. And if all else failed, I could just go to Walmart right around the corner and grab what I needed. The September after college graduation, I had my daughter at that point. She and I moved out of my parents' home and into our first apartment. And then October, her father and I got married and he moved in. And all of my stuff in boxes, because there was no place to unpack things, really put a strain on our marriage because it was really overwhelming for him. And I didn't know what to do because there was just not enough storage. So I just blamed it on the tiny apartment. Well, then a few months later, we actually moved to the downstairs apartment, which had more storage, but it was still hard to find homes for everything. And then we went and added our second child, which meant even more stuff. I mean, I did the best I could. I would get organizers to, organize the toys and things in the tiny kitchen. I would get those vacuum seal bags for the kids' clothes that they weren't wearing. I did what I could, but it was still just really full and way too much stuff. We bought our first house right around the time of our second anniversary. And I was so excited. I was getting this big house that was seriously like 6 times bigger than our apartment. I was going to have the most organized house. It was going to be easy to maintain because I had stuff to spread all my stuff out. And it was going to be fantastic. Each kid was going to have their own room, and each room was bigger than the room that they were sharing. I was just, it was going to be great. You can laugh at me now. It's okay. I still laugh at myself for feeling that way too. A bigger house doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easier to clean and maintain. It just means that there's more space to hold more things. And more things it did hold. Barely. We had our third child. We had to get more things. I started my own art business, which brought a lot of more things. We wanted to have a playroom. We wanted to have exercise equipment. We needed more furniture and decor to fill the big house. It was just stuff. It was so hard to keep up with it all. I did my best to organize it. I tried different organizing and cleaning programs and schedules that I found online or ones that my friends had recommended to me. And the ones that did work, for a couple days, I would get burned out on so easily. There were times that I thought I was going to get buried alive by all my stuff. And if you ever came to our old house, you probably think I'm being pretty dramatic, but there's a reason why we never really let anyone into the unfinished side of our basement. It was basically my Monica closet, if you get that reference. It was bad. It was really bad. I finally found the 40 bags in 40 days challenge. I can't remember if my mom introduced it to me or if I heard about it at church, because basically it goes through all of the Lent season. So for the 40 days of Lent, you get rid of 1 bag of donations or garbage a day for the 40 days. And it's really flexible. Your bag can be any size. It could be anything. It could be one big item. It could be like a lunch bag size of things. I remember there was one day that there was a piece of garbage that was in the corner of our living room that had been there for a while, and I just didn't want to take care of it. It was just like a crumpled piece of paper one of the kids had drawn on. And I counted that one piece of paper as a bag because it would, like, every time I walked into our living room, I would just hear that piece of paper going, "Are you going to take care of me? Are you going to take care of me? I'm still here." So that, my friend, that counted as one bag. That challenge changed my life. It was manageable. It was really hard to get burned out on. I mean, if I didn't want to do much that day, I picked up that piece of paper. I did a small, tiny bag. And then there were other days I was just such in the groove. I was getting rid of multiple bags. I got rid of way more than 40 bags that year, and our home could breathe. It was so refreshing. It was easier to tidy. There was space to walk in our basement. I could find things, which saved me so much time and money. If you think about it, if you can't find things because your home is such a mess, you're going out and you're buying things, or you're spending time trying to find it. So just knowing that those 40 days had such an impact, I'm like, Is the answer to my problem really just to have less stuff? It never really clicked in my brain before that the answer could just be declutter. Get rid of things. It was really freeing. I ended up doing that challenge for a couple more years and it was just fantastic. And in 2017, we decided it was time to move again. And I decided I was just going to declutter all the things. I did not want to pay somebody to move all the things and then get to the new house and go, I don't need that yet. I paid somebody to move that. I ended up decluttering probably a third of our possessions. Baby stuff we didn't need, furniture that we didn't have a place for. It was just wonderful. And I was so proud of myself until moving day, when the big truck showed up and the movers loaded up that truck and it barely put a dent in what we had in our home. We ended up having to do multiple trips with my van and my father-in-law's truck back and forth that weekend between the old house and the new house to finish moving our things. Thankfully, the two houses are less than 20 minutes apart, but still, we still had a lot of things. Knowing that our new house was so much bigger than our old house, I was really determined to not fill it back up with stuff. The problem is that the new house was a fixer-upper, and some of the projects that we were going to do meant we couldn't put things away. So I really did my best to keep things organized and give everything homes, but when things aren't where they should be, it looks like clutter no matter how organized it is, and clutter attracts clutter, and I definitely backslid those couple years. Once we finally started getting some of these projects done, I was able to start finding homes for things, which was wonderful. But when you have too much stuff, not everything has a home. And I was buying furniture that was like really good for like organizing and storing all of our things. But when you're trying to organize clutter, it's impossible. You can't organize clutter. You can try, but it really doesn't work. In January of 2020, yes, 2020, we all know, I was ready to start decluttering again. Our home was finally stable enough that I was going to be able to do this. And I did my first minimalism declutter challenge. I was really excited about this new one. It was where for the month of January, you do on the first one, you get rid of one item, 2 items on the second, etc., all the way up to 31 items on the 31st. And I was really excited about this. I'm like, okay, this is different. It's going to keep it fun because it's not just the 40 bags in 40 days challenge. I get bored really easily. So I'm like, this is going to be fantastic. I'm on board for this. And it was great. It was fantastic. You're supposed to get rid of almost 500 items in that challenge. I got rid of well over 1,000 items that month, and it was like on fire. How we had all that stuff in just over 2 years' time added to our home, I don't know. It's kind of disgusting and like depressing at the same time, thinking of all the money you've spent on these things, which we'll talk about in an upcoming video, don't worry. But it was just freeing at the same time to let things go and let my home breathe. And then of course, pandemic hits. After a while, the house starts feeling like the walls are closing in on me. I declutter more and more and more to just feel like that house could breathe. And we got rid of even more items that year. I did the minimalism challenge again in January of 2021 and 2022, but I did change it up a little bit. I learned from my mistakes in 2020. When I start a challenge, I'm all gung-ho and motivated. At the end of a challenge, I'm done. So I actually flip-flopped it. So I did 31 items on the first, 30 on the second, all the way down to 1 item on the 31st. Because by the end of a challenge, I'm going, I have nothing left to declutter and I have no energy left to do it. All 3 of those challenges, I got rid of over 1,000 items. Our home could breathe. It was organized. Things could get put away easier. And even my kids were getting involved and learning how to declutter and organize as well, which was fantastic. And now in 2023, I'm pretty much just doing maintenance declutter. My home is staying fairly manageable. I do like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, whether it's 5 minutes a day, 5 minutes once a week, a couple times a week. As I feel the need, I'm doing about 5 minutes at a time. I really like 5 minutes because it's a manageable amount of time. If you were to tell me, hey, go run on a treadmill for 10 minutes, I'd say no. And you said 5, I'm like, I could probably do 5. That's why I love 5. It's enough time to actually make a nice dent in an area, but not too much time that you're going to just be like, I can't do it, it's too long. So 5 minutes, that's my favorite. I share a lot about 5 minutes, so stay tuned for a lot of that. It's a really good habit to get into, is just doing 5 minutes here or there, whether you get a full space done or not. Just, it's manageable. It's going to build your decluttering muscles and help you just get a routine of constantly decluttering to keep your house under control. With that being said, please do not think that my house is perfect and completely decluttered and organized, because you have not seen my garage. I definitely have a few spaces in my home that are Monica closets, and I will be tackling those this year, so stay tuned. I will be sharing those because Lord knows I need the accountability. Thank you so much for being here. I'm looking forward to building this community with you and working together to make our homes more peaceful and manageable and kicking clutter to the curb once and for all. Let me know down in the comments if you struggle more with the decluttering part like I do, or if you struggle more with the organizing, because I'll be sharing more tips and tricks for decluttering and organizing in the days to come. Bye.